You and your spouse can simply lounge on the floor, the department head stated, slyly grinning at Mike. The company is celebrating its 30th anniversary today. That he could say such a thing at such a momentous occasion is astounding. In addition, it's his first encounter with Linda, my wife. He would usually be a little more considerate, I thought to myself. The president's daughter, Jessica, made an even more unexpected move. Suddenly, she handed us a cardboard box that had been flattened and said, "Use this." The cardboard fell to the ground, creating a cloud of dust. "Shall we go home?" To Linda, I said. "Yes, let's," she said, a little shaky in her voice. We were going to depart the arena when we started to get bruises. Adam is my name. I am 40 years old. Together with my wife, Linda, and our daughter, Anna, who is in middle school, I lead a simple but contented existence. Linda and I first became acquainted in high school and were married at the age of 25. We were merely buddies back then. However, despite a lot of ups and downs, we eventually strengthened our bond and realized we were partners. We've been together for a very long time and are not just married, but also the best of friends. We can talk about anything. Because of this, when we were younger, we frequently got into arguments about things we wanted to communicate to one another. However, our arguments were only short showers. The phrase "the ground hardens after the rain" is true. After a while, our wrath would naturally subside and disappear, leaving only our love for one another. Every time there was a fight, I thought we understood each other better. Our disputes have substantially diminished since Anna moved in. The words "children around" truly resonates with me. Not that we made the conscious decision to stop fighting for Anna's sake, but we did naturally begin to get along better. We wish to carry on having a happy family of 3. I travel every day from work to home with this hope in my heart. On my way to work today, as every other day, I was bumped around in a packed train. Although I have to endure the morning rush every day, it doesn't seem so horrible when I consider that I work for my family. Everyone on this train is undoubtedly working hard toward a goal. When you think like this, even the uncomfortable circumstances of a packed train have purpose. A mountain of mundane work waited for me at the office. Despite having a wonderful family, I'm having some problems at work. With 2,000 employees, this business has been a profitable endeavor for the past 30 years since its founding. This company is where I started around a year ago. I had been employed by a tiny family-run company up until that point, but financial troubles caused it to fail. These days, with small firms collapsing one after another as a result of the dire economy, losing your job abruptly is a prayer answered. However, I never imagined that would occur to me. My initial thoughts were of my family when everything happened. Linda took on multiple part-time jobs after I lost my work to help support us until I was able to secure a new job. Although I appreciated her help, it was difficult for a person in their late 30s who had only previously worked for small businesses to obtain a new position. I even thought about asking Linda to take Anna and return to her parents' home at one point. It appeared like Linda's parents, who are well off, may benefit more from my absence. I questioned whether her divorcing me would make them happier. But when Linda found out what I was thinking, she became even more upset with me. "Don't decide on our happiness," she cried out. Her unexpected wrath surprised me, but then she softened. "We 3 make up our family. It's what brings us joy. I'll be there for you no matter what if you're in danger. Thus, never again discuss breaking up." Linda's soft face also conveyed a hint of sadness. I began looking for a new career after feeling incredibly guilty for causing her such anguish. That was the moment Mr. Thompson, the president of the business I work for now, approached me. He had been my father's close buddy since college and appeared to have continued to watch after me even after my father passed away. He offered me to join his company after learning that the one I had worked for had filed for bankruptcy. This was my chance to get a work again, even at a big company, something I had never even dared to aspire for. I decided to accept the offer right away. However, I quickly discovered that big businesses had high standards. Everyone else had further education, unlike me, who began working immediately after high school due to the death of my father, the primary provider. They were stoic in temperament and extremely proud of their work. Mike was one of them, a prestigious department head in his early 30s, and he was quite hard on me, a non-degree holding man, assigning me menial jobs. I don't know how a middle-aged man with a low education managed to get into this company, but don't get in our way, he stated on my first day. I simply nodded understandingly and discreetly accepted President Thompson's invitation to join this company, as it was a secret. It was annoying, but I had to keep telling myself it was useless to get hung up on such small-mindedness. I made the decision to put in a lot of work for my family. But Mike was treating me worse and worse every day. He whined no matter what I did. He called me by a nickname instead of even using my name. Adamni, before I return from lunch, please copy these documents for everyone. Make me a hot cup of coffee when I get back, please. Yes, sir, he'd reply. As you please, I answered. Mike's instructions also governed this reaction. I couldn't even respond using my own words. It was awkward and embarrassing at first, but after a while I grew accustomed to it and inadvertently began addressing him as sir, akin to a butler. It's scary, but learning to adapt is a necessary survival skill. The looks on Linda and Anna's faces when they got home made everything worthwhile, no matter how bad things were at work. I even began to consider Mike's harassment as something I had to put up with from my family at some point. The daughter of Mr. Thompson, Jessica, entered my life just as I was starting to get acclimated to Mike. It appears that she began dating Mike and began to visit our department more frequently. The youngest daughter of the president, Jessica, likewise began referring to me as Adamni whenever she saw me. It was extremely taxing to be called that by a 30-something lady who happened to be the youngest daughter of the president, but she was even more untouchable than Mike because of her position. I smiled back every time I was called Adamni, since of course I couldn't say I didn't like it. I told myself in my heart that it was all for my family. For the sake of my family, I was ready to laugh off any negative emotions. Jesus and I are getting married, no matter what. We're intending to make the announcement during the company's next anniversary celebration, but I thought I'd let you know ahead of time so you could get ready with a gift, Mike added. Jessica laughed as she added, Don't let Adamni celebrate on our behalf. That truly is depressing. He's clearly not happy, and you can't celebrate others until you're happy yourself. His face alone tells you everything. My first thought was, that's not true. My family is really loving, and I'm really content. I realized that I was yelling this more frantically than I had meant to. When they saw my response, they exchanged a look and started laughing. Dude, what's up with that distraught expression on your face? Your family is not loved by you. To endure daily mockery at work, all you have to do is believe it, Mike remarked. My pulse raced as soon as I heard what he said. If your cherished family witnessed how you are at work, I wonder what they would say. Jessica held Mike's arm and added, If it were me, I would feel bad and think it's best to quickly divorce such a pathetic, unreliable husband and find someone else. As they walked away, the two of them leaned in close to each other and laughed mockingly. I could still see Linda and Anna, even if their words had broken me to my core. I usually would have hurried home to greet Linda and Anna, but I walked with a heavy gait that day. I stood in front of the door for a while to gather my thoughts so that my family wouldn't see me crying, and then I opened it. Welcome home. Linda smiled and said to me. However, she gasped in shock as soon as she saw my face, saying, Dad, you're smiling so much. Has anything enjoyable occurred? Despite what she said, I appeared a little nervous, as though my forced smile had come off as forced. I ended up forcing a smile that turned into an awkward laugh because I felt like I was trying so hard not to let my family know what was really going on in my heart. Linda saw, of course, and said, "Did something happen at work?" with a serious expression. I wanted to tell them that it was nothing to worry about, but I was unable to resist. "What's not right?" She looked at me, shocked, and said, "Are you okay, Dad?" Linda gave me a startled look as she gazed at me. Their faces began to fade in front of me at that same moment. I became aware that I was crying. Linda smiled kindly at me. "Could you please tell me what occurred at work? I support you. I'm sure you can trust me." Inspired by her remarks, I confided in Mike and Jessica about what I had been going through. Linda thanked me for sharing while listening in silence. My heart felt lighter after speaking with her, and I could grin sincere once more. "I'm relieved you're back to your typical self," Linda remarked, observing Anna's content expression. "I apologize for making you worry." "You're not required to apologize. It's okay to worry. It demonstrates that the person is making an effort, but please don't go overboard. You also need to take it easy," she suggested. Her statement shocked me. Since when had she grown up so much? My wife and kid helped me realize what was going on, so the following day I returned to work with a clear head. "Hey Adamni, fetch the garbage. The trash can is overflowing." Being a recent high school graduate with an odd profession, you might not give a damn, but I'm too busy getting ready for the anniversary celebration. "Please don't disturb me," Mike growled. I smiled back and said, "You get it, Mike. However, Adam, not Adami, is my name." Mike stared at me briefly before leaving the office without saying anything more. He was probably too busy getting ready for the party to dispute. It felt good to stand up for myself, and I thought about Linda and Anna right away. Yes, they are the reason I am able to be strong. I made the decision to no longer put myself at risk for my family. What really helps my family is me doing my job effectively and keeping my pride intact. The anniversary celebration wasn't irrelevant to me. Mr. Thompson himself extended the invitation to me. He also extended an invitation to Linda. I consider Adam to be a son. Thus, I appreciate Linda helping you as a wife. I hope you both have fun at the party. It's also a way for me to show my appreciation," he stated. In actuality, Mr. Thompson's mediation between our families made our marriage feasible. I went straight from high school to work after my father passed away in order to help my ailing mother. At first, Linda's parents weren't sure they should let their daughter to with someone like me. I recognized their viewpoint. They naturally didn't want anything bad to happen to their well-adjusted kid. If her parents didn't approve, I was prepared to give up. But Linda refused to leave me, and our discussions about marriage caused tension in her relationship with her parents. Mr. Thompson, feeling both guilty and powerless, offered his assistance. "I consider Adam to be a son. Let him marry Linda, please." I attest to his moral fiber. He personally visited Linda's parents in an attempt to convince them. His powerful remarks, which came from a reputable person, had a significant impact. In addition to approving our union, Linda's parents promised to cover the cost of the nuptials. Though I was truly delighted to have her parents' approval, Linda wasn't happy with their abrupt shift in perspective. "You're the biggest softie in the world. One of your strong points is that, but occasionally you should speak out for yourself," I answered. "You ought to show your parents greater appreciation. They are not here to stay. Conflicts should be avoided wherever possible." Mr. Thompson grinned and remarked, "You two get along really well," after hearing us. "I'm happy I could facilitate your reunion." We exchanged a few awkward glances with one another. I recall that particular instance. We sincerely owe Mr. Thompson a great deal. The company's 30th anniversary party was set for the next day. We left Anna with Linda's parents and made our way to the venue, keeping in mind that she is still a middle school student. It had been a long time since our last solo outing. When Linda first arrived at the party location, she appeared a little uneasy due to the joyous occasion. She does, however, come from a decent family, so this wasn't her first experience in such an environment. I had other thoughts and was more concerned with feeling uncomfortable there myself. As anticipated, Mike and Jessica noticed us at the location and changed their demeanor as they approached us. What is this person doing here? A recent high school graduate hired halfway through his career? Is the HR department at blame for this in any way? There has to be some sort of mistake. It's just not realistic. There might not even be a seat set out for you, Jessica scoffed meanly. Mike regarded me with a sly smile. You and your wife can just sit on the floor, right? Since Linda had never met them before, I found it hard to believe he could say such a thing on such a momentous day. Normally, I would think they would be a little more polite. Jessica did something even more unexpected while I fumed inside. She approached us abruptly with a flattened cardboard box and said, "Use this." I started coughing as soon as the cardboard touched the ground and began to kick up dust. Jessica scoffed at me while pointing. Because she is Mr. Thompson's daughter, I was ready to forgive her, but this went too far. This was excessively harsh, even if they were unaware of my relationship with Mr. Thompson. With a smile, Linda observed the entire conversation in silence, but she soon opened her mouth to speak. She was a determined individual, and she was aware of Mike's treatment of her. I was afraid that she might respond. However, Linda received us calmly and with grace. I apologize for the introduction's delay. I've been hearing a lot about Mike's caregiving for my hubby. Mike gave Linda a resentful glare. It isn't comparable to it. I regret to inform you that he has been confined to daily menial work. But don't worry, he makes a respectable salary for a janitor. Jessica chuckled at what Mike had said. Here, Adamy cheerfully endures mockery throughout the day in order to protect his cherished family. It's truly heartwarming. However, I'm shocked that you came here. Do you not feel uncomfortable here? I was concerned about Linda's reaction when she gave me a quick glance. Her stately profile revealed her sophisticated background. It appeared that the hurtful remarks had had no effect on her at all at first glance. Still, I saw a faint quiver in her lips. It was the first time I had ever seen Linda act like this, and I wasn't sure if it was out of sadness or rage. "Shall we go?" I asked, instinctively putting my hand on her back. She turned to face me, her eyes full of tears, as if she was waiting for those words, and said quietly, "Yes, let's." She must have been suppressing her emotions, not wanting to make a big deal out of it, certainly not for me. The best thing I could do for her was to leave. We were stopped and called just as we were ready to go away together. It was Mike, the one who had followed us, his once smiling face now pallid. "Hold on, please return. It's Mr. Thompson who needs you. He threatened to terminate me if you left right away." "Exactly who are you? How do you feel about Mr. Thompson?" He let out a gasp. "It appears you finally realize the gravity of your actions," Linda said Mike right away. "Though we've previously spoken with Mr. Thompson about this, we're heading out at this time. You'll lose your job if we do. Adam won't have to endure suffering right then." Linda put her hand on my arm and said, "Let's go," after saying that. She gave off the impression of being eager to get out of here. I just gave her a simple nod of approval, responding, "Yes. No, please hold on. I apologize for all of it. All of that was a farce. I didn't think you would be serious about it." Mike begged. Subsequently, Linda abruptly pivoted with remarkable intensity. Her abrupt action startled me so much that I almost fell. Linda's acerbic voice echoed, "If you really mean to apologize, then don't make excuses." Her expression twisted with rage, as if she was very angry. Her ferocity intimidated even my cluck. I hadn't seen her like this in a very long time. I was powerless to stop Linda from being really angry when her parents opposed our marriage. When Mr. Thompson and Jessica finally showed up, he declared, "What Linda is saying is true. You both ought to give them sincere apologies. Jessica, please apologize. I feel incredibly humiliated as a parent." The mere fact that she was born later in life seems to have caused me to spoil her excessively. Mr. Thompson's intervention appeared to calm Linda down, and her furious face soon vanished. The way Mr. Thompson handled the matter comforted me. Additionally, it appears that you have consistently shown Jan contempt at work. It didn't surface until now since he's a wonderful man, but typically such behavior would get you sued. Mr. Thompson chastised them, saying, "Those who cannot respect the dignity of others have no place in my company." When Mike heard this, he looked defeated. Subsequently, Mike was downgraded to a normal employee, and rumors about his marriage to Jessica reportedly stopped as well. This was a result of Jessica's relocation to a far-off neighborhood where her mother's family lived. As it happened, Mr. Thompson and his wife had split up. It seemed that they had ceased even saying hello to each other at home, and that their relationship had been chilly for a while. When his wife was discovered embezzling business funds with an accountant she was having an affair with, it was the last straw. Mr. Thompson believed he had no alternative but to send her back to her family home for divorce in order for her to accept responsibility and make amends. Mr. Thompson looked at me lonely as he confided, "I could hardly run my own family, despite the grandiose speech I gave in front of you. Your family appears to be truly happy in comparison." He was a wonderful father indeed. I refer to he as my father. My father and Mr. Thompson had promised to work together to create a prosperous future as business partners. One was the son of a political family, while the other was a country farmer's son, and they met at college. They became the best of friends in spite of their disparate upbringings. Mr. Thompson had grown up in a competitive milieu, and my father, with his modest upbringing, was his first real friend. Following graduation, they pledged to launch a company together. My father became ill while he was working for the company to support his family and getting ready to launch his own company. In the end, Dad died, abandoning my mother and me without completing his pledge to Mr. Thompson. He has always felt bad for robbing us of my father. I never had a grudge toward Mr. Thompson, even though he claimed that his manner of atonement was to always try to help me. Even at the end, I knew my father trusted him. On his deathbed, my father expressed remorse that he could not honor his vow to Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson's eyes filled with tears as he apologized and said, "I'm truly sorry," when I told him about this. "Apologize not. You've stated it all along. I'm like a son to you. You are also like a father to me. From now on, please trust me," I said. Then Mr. Thompson said, "Thank you," and grinned softly. Maybe since it brought back memories of my father, it felt familiar. The divorce of Mr. Thompson was months ago. I've heard that late-life divorces can be emotionally and physically taxing, despite the fact that his relationship with his wife had been distant for a while. This is a result of his having to assume the responsibilities previously held by the spouse. Fortunately, Mr. Thompson's sister and her husband were neighbors who visited him from time to time. But because I was also worried, Linda and I made the decision to take our family to Mr. Thompson's house on a regular basis in order to stay in touch with him and offer him comfort. We used to host cookouts in his backyard and gradually began inviting guests over. Neighbors and employees of the company started to join. As a result, during weekends, Mr. Thompson's house was the center of social activities. It was at that moment that I realized the true value of family. Even though Linda, Anna, and I had a great time alone, I could see a bright future for our family when we grew our social circle. My late father would undoubtedly be happy. I had the impression that he was smiling softly and keeping an eye on our happiness from heaven as I looked up at the blue sky.